Whatever business venture you plan to pursue, you better make sure you really enjoy it.
Hello everyone, welcome to Artistically Married, where art and opportunity collide. We're your hosts, Jake Ackerman
and Brienne Steinberg.
And today we have Greg Gnys from Counterpart Brewing, our favorite place in the world, I think. But
Yeah, the owner of an unbelievable brewery here in Niagara Falls. This was your 7th anniversary, right?
Yeah, just had our 7th back on March 8th, I want to say it was.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and really, Jake's not exaggerating. It really is the only place. We feel like every time we try to go out somewhere else, it's a waste of time.
Yeah, we see you there a fair amount, so we appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, we caught wind of it early. There was like an old guy in Niagara, and he was helping us move or something like that. And he was like, "Oh, I hear there's a brewery going in on Stanley." And I'm like, "Oh, that's right where we are." And I'm like, "Please be good." And then it was the best.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I didn't realize you guys were this until tonight, that you guys were right around the corner now.
Yeah, we're like walking distance. We biked a few times.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, it's great. Actually, I'll tell a quick story. So my daughter she just turned 10 and our son is 6. And when I just found out I was pregnant with Phoenix. And the next day was Annabelle's birthday. So when you said that, you're like, "Oh, it's the anniversary week." I'm like, "Of course it is, because it's Annabelle's birthday week." So like the year you guys opened, it was your very first year. And yeah, I had just found out I was pregnant with Phoenix. It was Annabelle's birthday. So right after, they're like, "Let's go try the new brewery. We're so excited. We've been waiting for like weeks and weeks." And I hadn't told him I was pregnant yet. So we're sitting in Counterpart for the first time. I'm looking at this menu, just like freaking out inside that I can't drink anything. Yeah. And then it went on for like another year. It was like your first anniversary, I think, was the first time that I actually got to drink the beer.
Yeah. Well, it took a while for the beer to get where we wanted it to be anyways. You didn't miss too much.
Yeah. Try to make me feel better.
Yeah.
It was devastating every time. But yeah, definitely worth the wait. It was amazing.
Yeah, at least you could eat.
Yeah, totally. For sure. Yeah, and we're going to talk all about the food as well. But yeah, if you haven't already, if you're a beer enthusiast, if you're in Niagara, we ask you to send this podcast to anyone else that you would like to hear it. And also definitely check out Counterpart. So yeah, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you.
So yeah, do you want to just kind of walk us through how you got into craft beer? Maybe any of the things that pushed you in the journey to open the brewery?
Yeah, so I moved out to British Columbia in 2009. I got a co-op with BC Hydro. I've got a background in electrical engineering. So I got a co-op out there, which turned into another co-op, which turned into a job. And I was always curious about beer, I guess. When my friends were drinking whatever, I was drinking Steam Whistle and Rickard's White, and things are like a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
And then when I moved out to BC, that's like when that craft beer scene was like really, really taking off. And there wasn't much of a craft beer scene in Ontario at the time. So it's the first time I really got exposed to that. And just became interested in it right away. First just trying the beers, and then started doing it with friends where we'd get our bikes for the day. And you'd literally in like East Vancouver, you could hit 20 breweries in a day if you wanted to. And there are new ones popping up every week. So I got super into that, the beer first, and then kind of the community behind it as well. From there, I started home brewing just because I was so kind of fascinated by it. I didn't necessarily want to be a brewer, didn't necessarily think that I was going to do anything with that. But that became a pretty, important hobby of mine. I was doing it pretty much every weekend. I was brewing a batch of beer. It's just like on my kitchen stovetop with a couple big pots and, 8 hours of work for like 12 beers because I was doing 1 gallon batches.
Yeah.
So that got me a little bit more into like the brewing kind of side of things. And just increasingly got more interested to the point I was obsessed with it. Every waking hour I wanted to be doing something beer related. My wife and I started doing a lot of beer traveling, being out there. We had access to Seattle and Portland. We did trips to Denver and San Diego, and they're all like beer related trips. To the point that my parents bought me like a 1 week, there's like 1 week like crash course, like how to start a craft brewery at Oregon State University. And it was expensive. It was like $1,500 or $2,000. It was a pretty involved course. And my parents got it for me for like my birthday or Christmas or something. And it was in Bend, Oregon. So I went down there for the week by myself. And it was the first time that I started considering something about like, could I actually do something in this industry? So that was like the real kind of turning point for me, or like kind of launching off point. But yeah, it just started as like an extreme passion, enthusiast that has kind of taken me all the way to here.
I love that. And I think it's so inspirational for our audience, for our listeners to hear kind of those like passion stories, right? Of like, you took your art, you took what you're really into, you had this like path of your career, and then you kind of switched gears.
Yeah.
It sounds like your parents were so supportive. That's amazing.
Yeah, they were and they weren't. Like they were.
Yeah, you're like doing electrical engineering.
Yeah, they wanted me to at least like, if I was going to talk about it all the time, like maybe do something about it, like see whether, just investigate that.
Yeah.
Because I worked for BC Hydro for 8 years, and I remember like when I called my dad to say like, this is what I was considering doing. I'm considering leaving my job, moving home. It's not like he wasn't supportive, but he asked me a lot of really hard questions really quickly that I didn't have the answers to.
Right.
And he was encouraging me to like really give this some thought before I considered doing anything of that nature. So certainly supportive. Like once I was into it, they were all behind me.
Yeah.
And certainly helped push me down that path as well, but give me a healthy amount of resistance at the same time.
Yeah. Parents don't ever want to watch you fail, right? I know. I got the same line of questions, the crossfire, when I said, I'm not going to be a speech pathologist, I'm going to open a dance studio instead. But I think, parents eventually they get on board and they're like happy to see you happy, right?
Yeah, 100% for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like all brewing adventures kind of start with home brewing, and then I've heard that the commercial brewing is much different from like home brewing, and you can go in with a recipe and it's going to be something entirely different when you large scale it.
Yeah, it doesn't scale for sure. It's not like if you want to do a batch that's 100 times the size, you're just gonna multiply everything by 100.
Right.
We've actually done just that a number of times. Like we've got a guy, Adam, that works in our front of house, and we've taken some of his homebrew batches and scaled them up for the full system. And yeah, it's not linear. You need to have that experience to kind of know what adjustments you have to make. And also on a homebrew scale, there's a lot of considerations that you don't really have to think about on that scale that you definitely have to on a large scale. So it's a different animal once you get on a full commercial scale for sure.
Cool.
Learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
So what you said you were in BC, what made you come home to have the brewery or start the brewery here rather than start there?
Well, first and foremost, as I said, we'd been out there for 8 years, my wife and I. My wife was ready to move home. She'd been ready for a while, and we were trying to go down that path of like, how do we do that? So that was definitely the motivator. We not only was she homesick, but also we wanted to start a family and didn't think we could realistically do that out west, and didn't want to do that out west. So that's kind of what, I don't want to say like gave me the courage to kind of consider this, but I knew like I had to leave that job in order to move home. And that would have been a really hard job to leave, just because it was a good gig, like it was good hours and benefits, and I had a good boss and all those things. Got to travel around to different generating stations, and so there's some like cool aspects to it too. But when we were talking about moving home, we figured if I was going to take a chance at that, like let's get my wife a job, let's move in with my parents, and I can just see what I can fit. Like I'll start business planning and just kind of see where that takes me. If it doesn't work, I'll try to get a job in my field. So that was kind of like the one opportunity that we saw. If we're going to do it, we're going to do it now. So part of that was the timing, but also not only starting family, but I knew how demanding starting a brewery would be. So having friends, family close by was going to be something I figured would be crucial.
Yeah.
But also like the craft beer scene in Vancouver, as I said, was so far ahead at the time than where it was in Ontario. So we just figured there's a lot of opportunity here. And the idea of like bringing something that we thought was going to be great to our hometown, there's something really appealing to that as well. So there's a lot of factors, but like at the end of the day, like there was no real consideration of ever doing it out west. It wouldn't, in my mind, have been possible. Like we just needed the support system that we have here. Yeah. We did look at like other areas, like St. Catharines, Niagara Lake, but we wanted it to be in Niagara Falls. When we found what we thought was the perfect space for it, it all kind of came together. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I think we only had taps, right? That's all we've had for like the last like right in Niagara Falls, there's taps. There's Niagara Brewing, like right down on the hill. Oh, I always forget about that place. I feel like it's just so like specific to the tourist district.
I'd never been until we were like specking out our
brew equipment, and Creveller, who made our equipment, also made theirs. So the sales guy took me there to check it out.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're Niagara Falls local, you don't spend a lot of time on Clifton Hill.
So.
Exactly.
The park there is a gong show.
But yeah, the only like the relevant breweries kind of in the area, like Taps has been a fixture there for a long time. But like Silversmith and Oast and Exchange, there's some like, those are all within 20 minutes or so, and those are some of the more successful breweries at the time.
Right. I think it's really exciting in Niagara Falls because we have so many like other things going on, right? So it's nice that like we didn't have a brewery, but we had all kinds of other like attractions and drawing people into Niagara. Right.
For
like
sure.
It makes it a great place to like plant roots somewhere where it has already a million things going on, but not brewing, which is cool.
Yeah, and there's always been like the locals of Niagara Falls, like having, being born and raised here, have always been kind of underserved just because so much of the hospitality industry and otherwise it all caters to tourism. So much of the money and the energy in this city goes towards that. So it's not that we don't have other great local places that cater to locals, but certainly much less so than most towns of our size, because so much of the energy goes into that transient population.
Yeah. So we run an Airbnb in the house, and now it's amazing to hear how much of like our tourists that are like coming through the Airbnb process know about Counterpart. They're just like, oh yeah, like we're coming to stay here. We're doing the falls. We're going to Counterpart. I'm like, yes, this is amazing. Yeah. So yeah, it's becoming like a destination when people are coming to the falls, even if they are coming from like St. Catharines or Welland, or they're coming here for the brewery, which is amazing.
Yeah, brewing has its own its own tourism
culture
associated with it. And I know when we were building our business plan, like that's something that we certainly looked at in terms of, where does, who's doing the most tourism associated with brewing, like with the brewing industry, like are they coming here? We looked at that in terms of like the Americans, the people from the UK.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the demographics who travel for beer are coming to Niagara Falls.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
Not to mention being right on the border helps, like not only is Niagara Falls obviously a tourist town, but being a border city as well, with Western New York having a great craft beer scene itself. So there's a lot of helpful factors in addition to the support of the city itself.
Yeah. So for me anyways, I think like running a business, it's always been, and I always talk to business owners about like the location. Everyone says like location, it's so important. Can you walk us through kind of that experience? Because I feel like for business owners, they have this vision, they have the plan, and then it's always about like finding this like perfect place, like where's it going to be? So obviously, you probably did some demographics on like where you wanted to be in terms of like near the border or near the downtown. But yeah, what was that situation where you found that location that you guys moved into?
Yeah, that's something we got questioned on and received a lot of doubt early on, is about our location, because it's off the beaten path. It's not like all the breweries seemingly in this area are in a church or a barn or in something that has all this character to it, where the building itself is kind of a draw. But my experience with it previous to Niagara Falls specifically, everywhere else, the breweries are always in industrial areas, whether you go to Vancouver or Seattle or all these places. And there's a number of reasons. Like for one, it's industrial, it's manufacturing. So being in, we're zoned for light industrial.
Garage doors.
Exactly. Having the physical factors that exist within that building are important, but also having the zoning to be able to do what we want to do, having cheap rent because you need a lot of space. We've got 9,000 square feet. Having that in right in a highly commercial area is not feasible.
Right.
We also want to prioritize brewing first, and having it be a hospitality space kind of second. So we wanted to make sure we had all the things to accommodate the brewing side of things. But yeah, you need the hydro, you need the water, you need it all kind of contributes to it. And when we found that space, it's a pretty new building. Like it's got decent curb appeal for being in, an industrial plaza. It's in north end of Niagara Falls, which was important just because that's kind of home for me. Like being in the south end of Niagara Falls might as well be in a different city. Like I don't know that area, I don't know the people. So north, like it feels like home, and the amount of houses within 10-kilometer radius. Like even though you're not right in and amongst anything really, like there's a lot of people that live kind of within that area.
Yeah. And
that road is just like that stretch of Stanley is deceivingly busy as well. It's just kind of a connecting, road within the city. So yeah, after we had we had found that building, we're excited about it. Like I spent a lot of time just sitting outside the space and like
just a creeper, right?
just monitoring traffic. I'd sit on the curb.
Oh my gosh.
We also have the sewage treatment like just down the street.
Yeah.
And probably 1 out of every 30 days it smells awful in the area.
Yeah.
Like because the winds, always go west to east in Niagara Falls, but every now and then they switch.
Right.
So like that's something that was on my radar too, and is that could be an issue. So that's one of the benefits of doing something in an area that you're really familiar with, because all the little things that factor into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we looked at probably 15 different spaces before finding that one, and almost immediately we're like, this is got what we want.
I thought you guys were like the first people in that building, wasn't it? Like new at the time?
It had been open for probably 2 years.
Okay.
But there was like it was maybe half occupied. Like of the 4 units that we rent, 2 of them had never had a tenant.
Yeah.
The back units were a wedding caterer that kept their tables and chairs and stuff there, and the other one was storage for like a Canadian souvenir. It was like filled with stuffed moose and snow globes, and it was a completely unfinished space. So it was just a shell. So everything that you see in there, like the plumbing to the electrical to the ducts to everything, was part of our job when we moved in there.
Sure.
Which was good because
it's the way you want it.
Yeah, like we wanted a blank canvas to be able to kind of build it out.
Yeah.
It's just made for a big project, obviously.
That's what we're looking for now.
Oh, yeah?
Give me your other 11 spots. Yeah, our studio needs like but same thing. Like we don't, you go in and all these like buildings are already established. They're like office cubicles, or a lot of commercial space is like sectored into like small spaces, and we're the same way. We need like big, huge open spaces, right, for a dance studio. So yeah, I was so curious the first time I walked in there, just thinking like, oh, this building's a gold mine. Amazing.
Yeah, and if we were just a restaurant, it probably wouldn't make sense. But
right.
Being a brewery and just knowing that the breweries are kind of a destination, that gave us a little more confidence to be like we honestly didn't really have any doubts that was a great location. But we had a lot of people that did not think that was a good spot.
The haters gonna hate.
Yeah.
I think it's wild. You're a business owner and like you put stuff out, and you're like, friends and family are just so quick to tell you the like 4 bad reasons why, like, get out of here.
Yeah, it's not the worst thing. Like,
no, I know you want some feedback.
Yeah, and it forces you to address, some things before you're too deep into it.
Was it also your dad?
No, he understood more than most. Like when I moved home from BC, he flew out and drove home with me, and we took 2 weeks and just kind of meandered throughout U.S. and Canada, and we hit probably 30 breweries on the way home. By the end of that trip, like he understood.
He was convinced.
He understood what I was up to.
Yeah, and we're the same way. Anytime we travel, that's always what we're looking for, because we're just like, we want to try something new, and we want to, see how they're like building that community around the brewing process. It's like we always talk about it, but it's like an ancient thing, right? Making wine or beer was part of like cultures forever. It was always part of a culture, bringing people together and like breaking bread together, right?
Yeah.
So like it's always been so big in there, but I think we kind of took this like dip in like, I don't know, I think maybe around like the Industrial Revolution, where they started making these like big factories and batching out.
Yeah, well, for the longest time, like we didn't know what was happening, on a microbial level, like from a science perspective. We just knew if you did this and did this, it'd result in alcohol. So
exactly.
You didn't know what was happening with yeast and all these things that are required to do that on a commercial level.
Yeah, now it's exciting knowing all the formula stuff. Yeah. So I always think it's great. Anytime we are repping you guys and talking about it, we're always so inspired by like the ever-changing lineup. So how did you go about kind of imagining or the inspiration behind what your beer line would look like and how it would change?
Well, we had a very clear vision of kind of what beers we wanted to specialize in, which primarily are
everything.
Like mostly lager, hazy, hoppy beers, fruited sours, adjunct stouts. So those would be kind of like the pillars. Yeah. We do dabble in barrel aged beer as well. Yeah. So there's certainly some things that we don't do, but we do. That is part of what we want to be too, is being able to offer lots of styles and do them all well. Yeah. So that was partly just kind of knowing where the industry was at and where we wanted to fit within it, but also the beer consumer and ourselves for that matter. Like it's a promiscuous demographic. Like it's what's new, what's interesting, what's different. If you want like your Bud Light drinkers are what, like, they are happy drinking that every day, and that's great, and Bud Light can provide that. But for craft beer consumers, by and large, they want to be trying something new and something different, and that's something that was certainly the way that I've always been as a consumer. Like, if I had access to the best IPA I've ever tried, I'm still not going to want to drink that all
Forever.
the time. I might return to it every now and then, but I want to be trying different flavor profiles and hop combinations, and like, that's what kind of makes it interesting. It's the same way if you're into most things, like if you're a foodie, for example, like you want to be trying that new restaurant and what's their new dish, and so it's the same thing here. And so like that was always what we intended to be, it not only from a consumer perspective, but also we just knew that that's what we wanted to be doing with our, with the direction for our brewery, and that also aligned with what we want to do from a food perspective too.
Yeah, well, it definitely works, and that's why we always go, because we know it's going to be something good, something new, something interesting. Yeah, that's exactly why we go.
Yeah, and I think it's really exciting too that like there is always like a diversity, and really, if you'll hear someone say like, I drink IPAs, or I drink stouts, or I drink saisons, whatever your thing is. I think it's really exciting that like it is changing all the time, but you're always still like offering a variety, so you're still going to be able to typically go, except for stout drought, you're usually going to be able to go and be able to get a stout. You're going to be able to go and get an IPA. You're going to be able to go and get like your house pure, the
Pilsner.
Yeah, you're like I was thinking like the thing that's the same, right? If somebody is like yeah, exactly. So I think it's really exciting that like even within the different variations of beer, you're still going to be able to get something that you're into.
Yeah, we definitely want our consumers to know, like if you're a hazy IPA drinker, we want you to associate us with that. So you want to align yourselves with, even though like drinkers are adventurous in terms of what they want to drink, and they usually still have preferences. Either they're sour drinkers or IPA drinkers, and so you want to be cognizant of who you're trying to appeal to, and we're largely trying to appeal to the type of drinkers that we are, which is the beers that we specialize in.
Yeah, I think it's really exciting when you're kind of offering the product that you want. It makes it really easy to like stay passionate, right? When you're oh, I'm excited to try this new thing that I made. Like it's a really exciting part of like any business. So
we try really hard to stay true to that. It's easy to get pulled in a bunch of different directions, and we try to stay true to what we set out to do in the first place and stick to things that we're really passionate about.
Yeah, is there a secret to your IPAs? Like for me, they're the best in the world. Every time we travel, we try craft breweries everywhere, and you just nailed exactly what I want in an IPA. It's the best in the world, in my opinion.
So that's awesome.
Is there a secret to it?
There's a lot of secrets. And it's an ongoing process for us, for sure, and it's something that we've gotten infinitely better at through the years. Like it'd be nice to be able to actually go back and try those early iterations for us. Like from memory, I'm just very confident that we're eons ahead of where we once were. We get the most reps when it comes to that style too. Like we're brewing hoppy beers more than anything else. So that helps a lot. But like everything factors in, like your main categories, from recipe development, like whether it be your grain, your yeast, your water, your hops, obviously everything really matters. And we're constantly learning all the time, just little ways to push it in the direction that we want, not only from just experimentation, but collaborations are awesome for that too. So like we just had our 7th anniversary, as you mentioned, and we had 5 different brewers from Quebec come and do collaborative beers for that, and with every one of them, like we were trying something a little bit different that that they've had success with, that maybe we've tried in the past and didn't stick with, or we haven't done in a while, or was completely new to us. And some of that stuff really works, but you're always and you do it again, or sometimes doesn't, but you're learning the whole time, and just always with the goal of pushing towards a better product.
Yeah, you don't do the triples often, and I think usually they've always been a collaboration. Is there a reason for that too?
Yeah, we're doing them a lot more lately. Like for a long time, we were doing them once every anniversary. There's probably like 3 years in a row that is an annual brew for us, versus like we're now probably doing them 4 times a year, which is a significant uptick. Part of the reason, I guess, is that like triple IPAs for us anyways, they're a little bit harder to sell just because of the high alcohol to sell at volume. The group of people that are passionate about it are quick to
Drunks.
come get it, and myself included. Like I love triple IPAs, but I'm not drinking more than probably one a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus I'll have 8 lagers or 4 IPA. Like it scales to the alcohol and to the calories and everything else.
Yeah.
And because, like, for us, we largely sell our beer on premise. Like, we don't have a sales team. We don't have a delivery team. So most of our beer is being sold on premise. And as such, a higher percentage is being sold on draft than probably a lot of breweries. Like, with a lot of breweries, probably 90% of it are being sold in cans, largely via distribution. Because we rely on draft pretty heavily and draft in-house pretty heavily, we have to consider that when it comes to what we're brewing. So, like, things that you can have several of, or things that pair well with food, we can always sell more of that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But at the same time, like, it's a style that I think that we do really well.
Oh, definitely.
And it's something that we're always super excited to do. So it's not like it's not like when we do it that there's not an audience for it, but we couldn't be brewing one every couple of weeks and expect to move it all. Like, we do try to push things kind of in the direction that we want them to go, and that's something that we're actively trying to do more of, is brewing triple IPAs.
Yeah, well, and I guess it puts the rarity there. So when they come out, it's like, oh, we got to go get it now before it disappears, right?
Yeah, for sure. And with all those beers, like, they're so fresh dependent too. So you need to be able to move them within a certain amount of time, ideally 6 weeks kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, how do you figure that out? I always said, I'm like, any business I do, it can't go bad. I don't want a product that's going to go bad. It's going to stress me out. Yeah,
the logistics are nonstop. Like, you got to be staying on your projections and constantly making adjustments. And that's a net, with the seasonality of it, with everything, it all factors in, and it's very dynamic. So you gotta stay on that part.
Oh, can't even. Amazing that you do. You're doing so great at it. I was curious. We were in for the anniversary last week, and we were kind of looking at the beams, which we always do. So if you guys ever visit Counterpart, across their beams, it is an industrial building, but across the beams they have every beer can of every beer you've ever made. How does that feel to look at that now? Like, that run of only 7 years and have like created that much.
Yeah, it's funny. We literally just ran out of space to continue that pattern.
Oh my God.
So we've hit kind of the end of the beam, and I've been chatting with my Uncle Steve, who's done a lot of our work for us at the brewery.
Yeah.
About, like, because we've been using the beams, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
But we're now going to have to, like, build a shelf that continues from the beam that we're going to try to make it look kind of like the beam.
Okay.
To continue that along. But it's funny you mentioned that, just because we've officially hit a dead end with that.
I was just going to say that. What are you going to do when you run out of space?
Yeah, so all of our anniversary stuff, for example, is not up there yet. So we've got empty cans put aside to put them up there. But it's something I've seen at other breweries, not to that extent. To my knowledge, they don't have every beer they've ever done. We did start that from our first release. So for me personally, it is neat just to kind of look around with that nostalgia and see how because I do the design work as well, just to be able to see how that's kind of evolved through time. And we did short cans initially then, and since as we progress, so you see that at the beginning, the up and down, and then through time our fonts have changed, our templates have changed, and I'm very aware of these things, so not everyone necessarily noticed that. Yeah,
it was a decisive thing that you did.
But it's cool to be able to see that progression. It's just so for me it's just nostalgic to kind of every now and then I'll catch myself just kind of looking around. But I really, really like when I see other people do that too, and that's a very common occurrence. You'll see people coming in, they'll be pointing at it and talking about it.
Oh, remember that one? Like, I can almost remember like events in my life based on the different cans.
Yeah,
so I'm like, oh, we got that for our Halloween party. That was so great, Like
little bookmarks.
Yeah, exactly. It's like bookmarks throughout your life. I think that's so exciting. It's awesome. You were kind of talking about this, but can you just give our listeners a little more insight into like the trial and error in terms of like the science of beer making?
It's always a nonstop trial and error, I suppose. Like in every, like when you're doing a brand new style, it's very much that way.
Yeah.
But even if it's a style that you do all the time, you're always trying, like even if it's just a small variable, like I'm going to change the hop combination in this beer, I'm going to tweak the water profile in this beer. Like a lot of times in fact, more often than not, they're really small variables that you're tweaking just because you want to isolate whether it works or not. Mm-hmm. But I think if you're like, the ultimate goal is perfection, and it's something you're never going to achieve. So, which is good because it's something that will, just constantly kind of push you towards, never ending improvement.
Yeah.
assuming that what you want out of that style kind of aligns with your consumers. So that's the other side of that, is being aware of where the industry's at and where the market's at, and brew beer for yourself, for sure, first and foremost, but for the people that are consuming it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what makes it fun. If you weren't if you're just created the perfect product and you'd hang it up and you'd move on to something else. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we talked about this, but yeah, that is the exciting part of like it being ever changing, right? And always being like something new that's coming up. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, just the population at large. We've had a couple other in your industry of like restaurant owners. And we just wanted to talk about COVID and kind of how that impacted you guys. I remember thinking, like, when it happened, we're like, oh man, if you wreck this for us, I swear to God.
Well, I know too. And
I didn't even care about COVID. I was like, what about Counterpart?
Yeah, that was my concern as well.
Right?
Right before it happened too, I remember we went in on like a Friday or Saturday night, and like you almost couldn't even
get
in
a
the place.
seat.
Like,
Everybody was like standing in like the the.
We had our anniversary I think it was like 13 or 16 days before
everything shut down. March break. Yeah.
And it wasn't on our radar at the time. And like that, for that, our first anniversary, we had probably 250 people in there, 300 people. It was just, so maybe that was the day that you were there.
It could have been, yeah.
Like you couldn't, there was like people standing all between like the cash register and the island. And then every single seat was like, filled with people on the end standing. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like, they're doing it.
And it went from that to like
Boom,
shuttering.
Shut down.
It's 13 or 16 days. It's like 2 weeks-ish. So yeah, and honestly, it's never really been the same. Like, just not only the brewing industry, but the hospitality industry, it's never really fully bounced back, and maybe never will. It's obviously very disruptive to have something on that scale for that duration.
Yeah.
So it's still like a giant bummer. We're fortunate in a few ways in that, for one, we were open for a little over a year, so that made us eligible to a lot of the subsidies and such that were available. Like,
right.
I know some people got really, really screwed because they'd been open for 6 months, and because of the way that it was set up with the government funding it, like they didn't qualify for anything.
Yeah, you had to have a bank account, I think, for like 6 months or something.
There was all it was a half-baked plan, obviously, because
right. They were just doing it on
the fly.
Yeah.
So it didn't consider all these, sectors of business.
Right.
So we're fortunate in that respect, and because at least for the first part of COVID, because people didn't know how long it's going to go for, and it was a lot of fun to be working from home, and we couldn't make enough beer for the first several months.
Everyone was just staying home drinking.
Yeah, it was a vacation for a lot of people.
Right. I never even thought of that.
But then once it goes on 6 weeks and everyone's up 10 pounds and drinking alcoholism, there had to be some changes. But because we do sell beer, or a product that you can consume from home that was helpful.
Yeah. I never thought of that.
Our kitchen team, like, that's the other really big part of this. My business partner, Joe, he's our chef, and he's the other half of our business. So he's unbelievable in terms of just being resourceful and creative, and so we're able to stay connected to the community that way as well. Like, we're able to keep the kitchen open all the way through, and we did a lot of pretty decent volume to go, and we had like family meals were a big initiative that we did then, which was more than anything trying to stay connected to the community. Like, we're selling these family size meals at a highly kind of discounted rate, just trying to stay on people's radar and have people still coming through our doors, and just trying to position ourselves for when things did reopen, that we were still kind of relevant and connected with our consumer. Yeah. But it was a tough period of time, and it's made our lives since then difficult as well, and there's continued ripple effects from that for sure.
Yeah, they gave us these free loans that came back at like 8% to pay back off. Like, I have friends that are in the business industry, a couple that are in St. Catharines that just claim bankruptcy. That was easier for them to do than to have to pay back these like $60,000 loans. Yeah. We're like, again, because we had that first year, we were not only able to have subsidies coming in, but like, we weren't in a terrible cash position going into it as well. It's amazing. So the timing is always terrible, obviously, but no, of course. Considering, like, we consider ourselves fortunate in other ways for that. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, we did a lot of the take-home family meals. They were great.
That was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, we miss going, but yeah, it did the trick.
Yeah, it forced you to be creative and, you know, pivot quickly and all these other things that, like, it expedited a lot of, you know, what we are now in terms of business operators.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at positives, that's certainly one.
Yeah, I guess like you can really think about like the ways that you were able to get into people's essentially phones, right? From like being able to really focus on that in a time where you had to do that, I think is like, I've heard a lot of businesses kind of reporting that like they wouldn't have maybe put their like marketing or some of like the techniques that they used into hyperspeed if it weren't for COVID.
Yeah.
Because they really learned on like, how do we release? How do we market? When does it come out? You know, the timing and that kind of thing, those kind of things. I think COVID really tightened up some of those parts of our businesses.
Yeah.
Because we had no other choice. We couldn't wait till they came into our places of business to market to them. We had to get to their phones, right?
Yeah, it's permanently, like, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. So it's permanently disrupted the way that we interact with customers.
Yeah.
Like one of the big ones in the beer industry specifically is like how you release beer. Like pre-COVID, you know, you'd release it at the brewery and people would line up, and there's this whole line culture that existed around that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've still really fought to try to keep going.
Yeah.
But COVID made beer that was previously very hard to get, very accessible. And that's been something that's ultimately damaged the industry quite a bit. And it's still a problem.
I would never would have thought of that. Totally. Yeah. So you were mentioning the food part. We haven't talked about that yet because although the brewery part and the beer is like unbelievable, like Jacob said, best in the world that we've had. We've traveled a ton. We do a ton of brewery traveling. But there is this whole other part, which is the food. And it is on rotation. It's amazing. It's always in season. It's always, you know, matching up with our holidays. Like, it's just like a constant celebration that like matches whatever, you know, the foods that are being offered. So yeah, how did you find your business partner and how do you guys develop the menu?
Yeah, so yeah, he's the other part of this, as I've said, like my journey, there's only one kind of half of our story.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's from the Niagara area as well. Also lived out west for a long time. We didn't know each other living here. We met out there.
Oh, come on.
And that was only because my wife's Uncle Steve, so my uncle, and Joe's dad, Bucky, they were partners on the police force in Niagara. So it was actually them that kind of came up with, like, they're chatting over golf the one day, and Bucky was talking about his son moving home, wanting to open a restaurant. Uncle Steve was talking about his nephew moving home, wanting to open a brewery. So it was them that had the idea of, like, you guys have a lot in common. You should at least meet, see whether maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
So we did that. We met at a brewery called Brass Neck in East Vancouver and met up with his partner at the time and his son and my wife and I, and we hit it off and didn't ultimately like decide we were going to do anything together. Like, there's too many moving parts in terms of when each of us were going to move home, whether our plans really aligned, but like we hit it off and we loved Joe instantly. So we kind of kept in touch, but I ended up moving home in February 2017, and then just by kind of luck, he was able to move home in May of that same year, so not far after me. I was already well into business planning. He intended to get a job as a head chef in town, which he did, and was going to kind of re-immerse himself in the industry. But after doing that for a few months, he gave me a call and said, like, is there still any opportunity that we could do something together? And I was like, yeah, like, I'm already into this, but for sure, let's chat about it. So once, like, when I was initially planning it, I knew that food kind of needed to be part of it, but I don't have that background. I don't come from a culinary. So I would have kept things very simple in terms of, like, tacos and a flat top would have been my kind of plan.
Yeah.
In British Columbia, you don't really need food with your brewery. Most of them didn't have a kitchen. The food truck scene out there is great though. So there's like a partnership kind of there to fill that need. Yeah. Versus in Niagara, it seemed like you needed to have a food program to be able to run a brewery. It's just it was kind of the expectation here. Mm-hmm. So I knew that needed to be part of it. But until I decided, or Joe and I decided to do this together, that opened up obviously a whole world of kind of what we could do with that. Mm-hmm. Because he's unbelievably talented guy. His resume is a mile long, and he's been a part of like some incredibly successful restaurant ventures in the past. Okay. So he kind of brought that experience as well, because he had cut his teeth previous to this versus I was doing this all for the first time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we talked a lot about what we wanted to do from a food perspective. Like obviously pairing well with beer was important. We wanted it to be elevated but still approachable. The one thing we both really like about the beer industry is just that it's not pretentious. It's everyone's welcome kind of thing. So we wanted to have high end food, but without bringing that pretension kind of into it. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, like similar to what we do on the beer side, is we wanted to leave it open for the kitchen to be creative and do new things. And like it has a consistent, similar to our beer, consistent kind of vibe to it, or like consistent feel to it. And there's some some ingredients that you see a lot of, but it's also open to do things seasonally or just do fun one-offs. And so our beer and food program are very much mirrored in that respect. And that is kind of the idea behind the name as well. Just two things that kind of complete one another, talking about Joe and I and our, joint business venture, but also beer and food and then the community being the third kind of aspect to that.
Yeah. Oh, the food is so good. I can't even. Every time we go, we're just like blown away. It's so good. Yeah, so I was curious. I mean, that's great. I think like the partnership between any two people is amazing. How much did that give you kind of like the confidence? Like you had said, it was something that you necessarily couldn't bring to the table, but how did that give you the confidence to like open the brewery the way it was going to turn out to be,
Well, it certainly gave us at least a component that, we knew was going to be great.
Yeah.
You could put Joe in a kitchen anywhere in the world and he's going to put out good food.
Good food, yeah.
We felt really confident about the beer direction as well. Like I definitely felt confident with what we were doing. Our head brewer, John, who's been our brewer since we opened, he's fantastic as well. Like obviously we didn't know how our recipes were going to turn out on that system. And we knew he was a very competent brewer. We didn't necessarily know how good he was until we really got into this. But yeah, having the food side to fall back on, knowing that part was going to be great out of the gate and was probably going to buy us a little bit of time and forgiveness with with our initial customers was helpful.
Yeah.
But also being in Niagara Falls, having a good like a food program that's a draw, like it added a level of approachability, because craft beer wasn't, like to your point, trying to think of the craft breweries that are in Niagara Falls earlier, there wasn't much of a presence, which was good and bad. Like good in the sense that we knew there was something that we planned to do that no one else was doing, which is always a benefit, but also we didn't necessarily know there's a market for it because no one else was doing it. So versus we knew that there's going to be...
I have a monopoly on nothing.
Yeah. So if you're doing something where there's already a lot of people doing it well, the great thing is the consumer's there. Yeah. There's a lot of competition, so we had the opposite scenario.
Yeah.
But again, like we felt very confident that the food side would be something that was a hit.
Yeah.
And then we just needed to make sure the beer was on the same level, which I think ultimately we've been able to achieve. But early days, it was nice having that kind of known commodity.
Yeah. The food being so great. I just think it's awesome that you guys like found that partnership and that it's working. You guys still get along great.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be hard, right? You don't really you didn't know each other as well as you could have, and you opened a business together.
Yeah. Like I couldn't stress that point enough. Like for anyone who's opening a business, if you can have a solid business partner, like it is, especially when you do encounter things like COVID, and it is enormously helpful to have someone that you can trust and rely on and give you stability and
keep you sane.
For sure. It is, to your point though, it's also a relationship that can easily become extremely strained. So we both work really hard at it. Like we're very considerate of the other person and our family needs and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think like if you put the work into it and kind of foster that relationship, the payback is enormous to be able to sustain something like this over the long term. Having that one person that you can talk to about anything, you can trust with all the problems that are going to come up. So yeah, Joe and I have been very fortunate in that respect.
Yeah, you don't feel like I feel like as a business owner, there's like this really isolating aspect where,
for sure,
it's awful. I talk to some family members and I feel so bad being like, you'll never understand, I feel like I'm dramatic, but it's true. Like all the responsibilities on you. So I felt like I just got a secretary. So it's not the same as a business partner, but it's taken so much pressure off our relationship. Because before, like he would be my, he'd be my support system. I'm like, it's all falling apart. Oh my God, COVID, the studio closed down. And he's like, I don't know how to help you. Like, I can't do anything. So I think it puts so much strain on your external relationships when you don't have that business partner. Like, and like when you call each other, that's what you want to talk about,
For sure.
So I think that gives like such great support.
Yeah, they're the only ones that like my wife is unbelievable at listening to my problems, but she's not necessarily going to provide solutions either.
No.
She's got her own problems in her own job, and
exactly.
So it's the one person that truly cares as much as you do. They truly get everything that you're dealing with. They want a solution just as much as you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember reading an article about that like early in my business planning about the importance of having a business partner. Mm-hmm. And at the time I wasn't really considering having a business partner, and that's like probably the single best decision or collective decision that we made to be able to do that together.
Yeah, it's so great. So I wanted to talk about the community, but really quickly, I also just wanted to talk about the branding aspect of Counterpart. I think that was something that we were really impressed with, and I thought it was amazing that you didn't have specifically have a business background, that you didn't go to school to learn these skills, because when you're talking about the design work you're doing and the branding of the building and all your merch, everything is just so streamlined and very it's beautiful. The aesthetics of the business itself, the branding is amazing. Thank you. Yeah, how did you do all of this without any business training? It's amazing.
Well, it's similar to our beer, as I said, it's definitely, I think, gotten a lot better through time. When I look at our original stuff, it had a lot of the work to be done, but similar to the whole thing, we had a pretty clear image of what we were trying to focusing on. We wanted original art on the labels. We wanted kind of brighter, more colorful palettes. We wanted there's certain things that I liked in a brand. Yeah. And yeah, I've got one of my friends, he's my tattoo artist. He does our illustrations. Another one of my buddies, Matt, he does our graphic design. So it's been the three of us all the way through doing all the branding side of things.
Amazing.
Both of them did it for free initially. They just wanted to help out. So having that team all the way through has been really helpful, because we've been able to grow and get better at working together and making ultimately a better product together. Yeah. But yeah, the way that works, I can't necessarily, I'm a relatively creative person, not necessarily, I've never had a creative job before this, but I've always really kind of enjoyed that thing. So I think I've got a pretty good eye, and certainly there's a lot of work to be done still there, but I had enough that I felt like I could kind of guide that ship. And awesome. Yeah, the way that's always worked is, I kind of come up with ideas for the name and the illustration, and I send either a sketch or some picture I found online to Shane, and then he makes it look a lot better, sends it back, and then I work with Matt on the fonts and the colors and the templates and all that stuff. And then between the three of us, we kind of make it look like a pretty finished product in the end. Wow. Yeah, it's definitely the part of the job that I enjoy, if not the most. Certainly it's a very creative aspect of the job that it's important to have, because there's so much of the job that's not interesting at all but needs to get done. Yeah. See, if you have these little pockets of things that you get that fulfillment from, and that creativity out, it's helpful for sure. Yeah, there is always that creative versus the operational part of a business. You're just banging your head against a wall looking at your profit loss and your KPIs, please no. For sure. So yeah, I think it is nice as a business owner to give yourself those little rewards. It's funny, as I'm working with a mastermind company, and they'll say, as soon as you perfect something, as soon as you get really comfortable with something, pass it off to someone else. And that's always the one that I'm I can't, because that's what I live for. Those Thursdays where I get to design something fun, or make a flyer or something, So I think, the branding part ends up being your kind of creative outlet, and it ends up being a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm the same way in terms of there's certain things I absolutely have no interest in passing off. That'd be one of them for sure. That's mine. Here, you can have the bookkeeping. Have that all day. Yeah, I've mastered bookkeeping. You can take that. Yeah, exactly. I hate it. So you also talked about kind of just your vision for making it really accessible and having people come in there. And I think that was also a really big feeling for us. So we were, we came upon Counterpart, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show. Our daughter was 3 at the time, and I was pregnant with Phoenix. And I think we were transitioning as a young family. We were transitioning into the two of us, being married, partying, having fun, doing things like that, going to breweries, to having a family. And that was such a
vibe and a feeling that we walked into that place and we're like, oh my God, our kids are welcome here. And I think that was like a big thing. So when you're building a community around a brewery, around like, you know, that family vibe, I think it's really just like beautiful for families to go in there, and we constantly see it, and we constantly talk to like our friends that have kids, that they feel like they can still, you know, have that fun, have that playful energy of like going out and trying new beers, but we don't feel like our kids are like kind of in the way, like they're in tow. Instead of us having to get a babysitter, we're able to bring them. So was that something, I mean, you were going through a similar situation where like you had young kids at the time? Was that something that was clear in your mind that you wanted it to be like a family environment?
Yeah, 100% it was. Partially because of the stage of life that we were in. My daughter was born 3 months before we opened.
Holy.
Joe's second, his daughter was born like the day that we did our first canning, so he had to miss it, which was a bummer. Wow. Which is like 6 months after we opened. So both of us were certainly right in the mix in terms of that stage of life.
Right.
But also, that's one of the things that I've always loved the most about breweries. Like even before having kids, I'm honestly not that big of a kid. Or I am now. I'm a big kids person now, but at the time I wasn't necessarily. But I even though that wasn't something that I actively was looking for, like I liked how approachable and open that breweries were, to kind of like, I liked that you'd be sitting next to an older couple and a family with little kids, and it was just a very diverse crowd where the beer was kind of the only thing that mattered. That was the unifying. That's why everyone was there for the same reason. I really liked that. And even like going to breweries, you'd see 6 guys walking around, each of them with a baby strapped to his chest, and there's just like there's something that felt very welcoming about that. And for me, like the brewery experience has always been very different from the restaurant experience or the wine experience. It's very unique,
or even just like a bar, right? Like any other bar, it's a different thing.
It's its own thing, and that's really what I fell in love with. As much like the product certainly first, but the community second, and that's I think what really kind of hooked me in terms of like the love for this industry. So yeah, that was a really big. It's very intentional. It took us a little bit to rein in. Like we've had to make changes through the years in terms of, you know, we used to have cornhole boards in the middle of the place. We used to have all these little things that we've
beanbags whipping through the air, beer cans.
And it only works for for kids to be there, families to be there, if the parents are kind of accountable for their kids. And too often it's not the case.
I know.
So you have to kind of put some guidelines in place to make it a little bit more clear and obvious that their kids need to stay with you. And we have like that little section in the back that has, you know, an arcade and some
the giant Connect 4. My kids
so that's
love
kind
that.
of become the area where kids can be a little bit free in that area. So you again, like being a space that's ideally welcoming for everyone, you need to consider not only the families but the people that are there on a date and don't necessarily want beanbags thrown on their head.
Right.
So we've had to find that balance through time, and I think we're like similar to everything else. It's always a process in terms of how we can do better on that front, but yeah, we always knew that we want that to be the case. Just how to execute it has been the thing that we've been working on for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing a great job. We love bringing the kids there, and the kids now are the same way as us. They're like, it's the only place to go. So we've talked mostly about Counterpart. Recently, it was 2 years ago? 1 year ago, you guys ordered.
Counterpart?
Yeah, opened Counterpart.
It was November 24.
Okay, so I know we were hanging out the one night and you were kind of telling us what the motivation, but do you want to share with our listeners kind of how that evolved into opening the backside, the pizzeria? Yeah,
for one, like we talked about doing pizza initially with Counterpart, like that's something we seriously considered. Just because Joe's always wanted to do pizza. I've had his pizza lots previous to this. It's unbelievable. So we knew that would be a viable thing.
Totally.
We ultimately decided that the direction we went with our kitchen for Counterpart, positioned us better for what we were trying to achieve with that side of things.
Right.
But yeah, some years back we had the opportunity to secure the unit next to us, and then ultimately secure the unit behind that. So we added 50%, more square footage, which we needed for storage, but also it left a chunk that we weren't sure what we were going to do with. But we've got a 20-year lease on our current space, and we wanted to make sure that if we wanted to do anything in the future, that we weren't going to be kind of walled in and didn't have an option.
Totally.
So yeah, we had that space for probably a couple years, just paying for rent and not really doing anything with it, trying to figure out kind of what the perfect thing was for us. And the first thought was just doing an event space, just because we have so many requests for weddings and things like that we just can't facilitate.
I've asked for about 9 of them.
Yeah, and you're not alone, which is great.
Yeah.
But it's never ideal to turn away kind of business, especially something that you think that you probably could do well if you had the facilities to do it.
Yeah.
So we got like not far down that road, but far enough that we were, trying to hammer out some of the details. And Joe and I were out back having a beer the one day and chatting about it. And I think I just asked him, or he asked me, I can't remember, like, just, is this something that you're excited about? And the other one was like, honestly, not really. And we're both like, yeah, like neither one of us are excited about this.
Yeah.
So like this can't be what we should be doing with this. Like even if we don't have another option right now, like let's think, let's go back to
find another
board.
option. Yeah.
So we spent a little more time and ultimately decided to run with Counterpart. There's a lot that needed to be kind of worked out in terms of how we can make that ultimately work. Like in terms of, there's a lot of like considerations in terms of like, can we brew the beer and still serve it there? Like so we have a shared liquor license, which was its own thing. So there's a lot of hurdles to kind of get over.
Yeah.
Not to mention the expense associated with doing something like that. But I think it's been a great kind of complement to what we're doing on the brewery side. As I said, it's been like a year and a half now, and we're stoked to be doing that now. That our customers seem to love it as well.
Yeah.
We tried to make it kind of a distinctly different experience than the Counterpart side, by way of atmosphere, menu, obviously, having different TVs over there, different music. Just we tried to make it like cocktails.
Yeah.
So we tried to make them kind of distinctly different things, and I think we've largely succeeded on that. And it's been a fun addition.
Totally.
Yeah, the no TVs in Counterpart was always something I loved.
Yeah, was that
I almost didn't notice it at first.
Intentional decision? Yeah.
100%. Yeah, ideally everything's intentional. Like
right?
I think we're both pretty detail oriented. So like even if you don't agree with the decision, it was probably intentional.
Yeah. We thought about it.
Yeah.
Before we made it.
But I always love when someone will, did you ever consider that? I'm like, yeah, I considered.
Yeah, I considered
that.
And we're not getting one.
Yeah.
Go there.
Yeah, my father-in-law was, so you sure you don't want some TVs?
Yeah.
And some nachos on the menu.
You're like, go to the other bar. Yeah, I think it's really exciting. I mean, literally we're in the parking lot sometimes and we're like, do we go right or do we go left? What are we feeling? You know?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're after. So
yeah, great. Exactly. I think that's great.
Both is really exactly what we're after. So that's the dinner at Counterpart, cocktails at Counterpart, or vice versa.
Yeah, that's
and I thought it was cool. Yeah, I think we were in there when the Jays we didn't have cable at the time, or we don't have cable.
Didn't have Sportsnet.
Yeah, we didn't have Sportsnet. Yeah. So we're going in there for the Jays game, and we're like, oh, this is amazing. So I think there is like, it's the same person that like wants to go watch a sporting event at a bar and eat pizzas. They want to go to a brewery one night and have a TV free night. So I think it's great that it provides both sides. I just wanted to switch gears. That I think like a big part, and I know as a business owner, a big part of the community is not only our population that we're serving, but also our staff. So I thought it was really incredible. We've been, going there from the beginning, and I thought it was really amazing. Two things. One, that your staff has been so consistent. I mean, obviously, people go through things, but I think especially in the food industry, you do see a lot of turnover. You see a lot of people that are like very transient. So how have you guys kind of made the culture so that your staff is so adamant to stay? And then just the way that they're, I think number two, that the way that they're carrying on your brand, the way that they're like, being so consistent in your business, offering, that same consistency with the culture. So how are you kind of doing that with your, training, or just creating that environment that they want to be there and they're carrying on, they're being such like a great ambassador for your business?
For sure. Yeah, that's another enormously important part of any hospitality business, obviously. Like you can do everything else right, and then if you fail on that final step, the service element, you're not going to be successful. So we've always kind of stressed the importance of hiring kind of first and foremost. So like I've been a part of every front house interview that we've done, and Joe's been a part of every backhouse interview that we've done. And hiring good people kind of first and foremost, ideally experienced in all these other things too, but we've never been shy about taking a risk on someone that just seems like a great fit personality wise or energy wise or whatever. So yeah, getting the first people to start is certainly important. And yeah, like Joe and I are both very hands-on. We're there a ton, so it's very easy for us to care about the people that we work with, and very easy for them to see that we care about them and the business. And I think that's kind of the biggest secret, if anything. It's hard to do through time. Like at the beginning, it was very, very easy because I was literally there all the time, and everyone on our opening crew, they're all part of this really, special thing that they got to be a part of. But through time, when you slowly have attrition and people turning over, and I'm not there 100 plus hours a week anymore, it gets tougher to do. So we've all kind of had to evolve on like how we stay connected to the team and how we make sure that everyone's enjoying their experience. But like caring about the people you work with is always going to be the biggest part of it. And then just trying to show it, like we do like a big staff party a couple times a year where we'll go all out and do a bunch of fun stuff. And that goes a long way, just like spending a day where we can just hang out and we can show the team that we appreciate them. And see, I don't know if there's like one secret or shortcut to that necessarily. It's just putting in time and care into your team, and then making sure that you're surrounding yourself with good people. And if you do make any hires that are not a good fit, like identifying that early and making that correction something that we've gotten better at with time. Yeah. Because it's when you work a lot of hours together in a tight group, if you have one person that's bringing a lot of negative energy, it can influence the workplace quite a bit. So yeah, all things you improve at through time, but as long as you're consistent in leading by example and showing everyone you care, and like all those little things that make you someone that people want to work for, and making the business somewhere where people want to be. Yeah, I think that kind of takes care of itself in the end. Yeah. Well, yeah, you can tell like just by being there that they feel like so comfortable, right? Like you can, yeah, it's amazing. That's good. Yeah, I think you're right. And every business owner says this, that at the beginning, it's so hard to fire people or, for sure, or hurt someone or tell someone they're not doing a good job. Like it's really hard. But I think, yeah, as you get better at, onboarding your staff and keeping them in check, it does get easier. But yeah, I feel like it's hard because you were talking about kind of pulling away from the business, as you should, right? You're like, I created this thing and I have a million other things to do in the background that I can get done faster if I'm just sitting at home and like focused. But yeah, I think that also makes it kind of like the isolating part of being a business owner. Is that you are on your own, you have to make these decisions, and everyone wants a piece of you. They want you to be there 150 hours a week, right? So yeah, I'm finding that too. Like pulling back from the business, it makes it hard for your staff because they want to be around you all the time. Yeah, for sure. But again, if you build a good team, then you have people, you trust them, that can do things better that you can do, or things that put in hours into certain things that you can't do anymore. And so ideally your team kind of fills those gaps, then everyone feels a little more ownership over what they're doing as well. But sure. That is the challenge for sure. It's hard. Yeah. I was like always the nicest person, so it was really hard for me to like be mean to someone. Yeah. Some of those early failures with staffing, whether it be just someone leaving because they got a different career opportunity, or if it didn't work out for them, like I wore all those ones pretty heavily. So you need to adapt in that respect too. You can't continue long term if you're taking everything that hard. You need to learn how to roll with that a little bit too. So that's something I've got better at through time. Stronger backbone. I know, you don't want to be a meanie, but you gotta sometimes. All right, where do you see Counterpart going in 5 years or 10 years or 50 years? You're like, I only have a 20-year lease. we now have like a 13-year lease remaining, so I don't know what we do after that. But I would have said, like, certainly Counterpie's satisfied our immediate need to do something different and look for growth. Certainly our plan for growth would have always been to open a second location or a third location or whatever that would look like. Cool. There's a little bit less kind of opportunity to do that these days than there once was. in terms of the upside associated with the risk of doing that. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that that's a pressing need, but it's something that we'd certainly be open to. And if there's an opportunity to expand into another location in another city, or that's something we'd be open to. But it'd have to make sense for the business and for our families, and like neither Joe or I, or like we've got a shareholding team as well, like friends and family that aren't actively involved in the business, but they have kind of stake in the company. I think everyone is on the same page in that, like, there's no, ego involved where like we want to grow for the sake of growing, just to become that, like, if we can do what we're doing at this scale successfully, we're happy to stay here and continue to do that, better through time. But if there's an opportunity to grow, as long as it's we can be consistent with, what's important to us now, if we can do that at another location, which again, Counterpart has given us a little kind of window of what that looks like, and it's, even with the proximity being what it is, it still is.
I was gonna say it's a short walk.
Yeah, but it's still like having two separate teams and sets of books and all these things.
Totally.
It still is a challenge. I can only imagine if it's 10 kilometers away or 50 kilometers away.
Right.
Trying to make sure that things are on the level that you want them to be at.
Yeah.
But that would likely be our growth model if we choose to kind of pursue that, versus just brewing more beer and pushing into the LCBO and other sales avenues. Ideally, we'd keep that kind of the beer, food, the community aspect kind of intact in our growth through time.
Yeah. It is hard. And I know you do hear a lot of like breweries that is like the long-term goals. Like they do set a goal to like be in like mass distribution. I get it. It's kind of, it's against your mantra. It's against, your whole branding model to be just like super accessible. So I think, I think that's really special and admirable, and it makes it harder to do, right? It makes it harder to be like all in-house and not more accessible.
Yeah.
It's easy to just batch out tons of the same crap, right? Once you get like a yes. Is LCBO calling you?
They don't call anyone, to my knowledge.
Okay. If they're gonna call anyone, it's gonna be you.
It's certainly an avenue we could easily pursue.
Oh, yeah, in a second.
And a lot of our counterparts, like in terms of other breweries, have done so successfully.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we might at some point pursue that if it's something that makes sense. But as of now, it's something that we're not really considering. It's just, I know it would add a lot of complexity to our lives. I'm not sure it'd necessarily be a more profitable endeavor as a result of doing it. But also, like Joe and I both prioritize spending time with our family and also being able to spend most of our time doing the things we really enjoyed at work. Like for like the bigger you get, the more people you hire, the more complexity there is.
Right.
Ultimately, you don't end up doing a lot of the things that you want to be doing and why you got into the business in the first place.
Yeah,
so.
Then you have to kind of like service everything out, right? You have to like get way more of a team, way bigger of a team to be doing all those things.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I love the food and beer aspect of Counterpart, but then other breweries like Collective Arts, they basically only export, and they brew like tons in-house, and then that just goes to LCBO, and like in their shop is kind of small, and they're not really geared towards that. So I think if you did, that would end up being a really big shift that might not necessarily be beneficial.
Yeah, it's certainly a completely different model. You can have success, obviously, doing either one. But it takes a certain amount of discipline to kind of stick to what you like, to not pursue there's always all these things that you can pursue.
Exactly.
And a lot of them make sense on paper, but when you try to think about like everything that comes along with that, and what we're ultimately trying to achieve, like, does it get us closer to our goal? And a lot of the time it's no. A lot of times it's like you need to have the guts to be able to pursue those things when they're right for you too. Yeah. And they come around. Yeah. But that's kind of the trick of it, of knowing when it's the right opportunity for you, and then putting everything behind that.
And it's hard to know until you're doing it, and then you're like, I regret this. Like, now what? You can't reverse it, For
sure.
So once you jump to that level, I think, it's hard to tell whether you're really going to enjoy it. I think you made a good point, you and your business partner, just being able to say, like, visualize yourself in this scenario. Does this feel good to you? Like, is this something that like excites you? You want to do this? And I think if the answer is no, then you get your answer, right?
Yeah. Being very clear about what you're trying to do, what makes you happy. Like the more you know yourself and your business, it guides a lot of those decisions, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome. So I wanted to do a crossfire, but I think we'll take a break quick because I'm going to let them look at these.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
We will be back.
We're back.
All right. We are talking to Greg Gnys from Counterpart Brewing. He's the owner and founder. We've been talking all about beer food community, which is their motto. They're located here in Niagara Falls. Definitely, if you are listening and you're anywhere in Ontario, you should come and try this brewery. It's incredible. This has been such a great conversation. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. I just wanted to talk quick about, before the episode, we were talking about, and you kind of talked about it throughout the episode too, about kind of this idea of traveling for beer. And I think it's been like a new thing, definitely, that we're starting to come across, is like kind of these beer festivals. So a bunch of different breweries coming together and collaborating for the actual festival and just bringing, whatever their maybe new stuff, maybe consistent stuff. But yeah, can you talk to us about participating in some of those events? And you had one of your own this summer. You hosted one.
Yeah, we had Flow Fest this past July, which is the first time we had done that, which we partnered with the city of Niagara Falls with. Had 22 or 23 breweries from around Ontario, like all friends of ours are able to come and hang out for the day.
So awesome.
We're doing it again this year in June. We moved it up just because it was such a smoking hot day last year.
Right.
We're hoping to get out in front of that a little bit. Mm-hmm. So it's the day before Father's Day this year, which is the 18th of June, maybe, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, festivals are another thing that unfortunately is like a part of the industry that's kind of dying off. Like festivals aren't nearly as prominent as they once were. There's a number of things that go into that, but it is a really impactful, important part of my journey was going to festivals.
Yeah. You just feel like they're not being as well attended?
Not as well attended, so not happening as much. They're almost always not overly financially viable things to do.
Yeah.
So if the attendance drops off even a little bit, it makes it harder to do. And also, like, a lot of the breweries that were doing them pre-COVID, that probably would have kept doing them, even though they're an enormous amount of work and not overly profitable. Like, there's enough separation that COVID created that these breweries decided not to keep doing them. Like Liquid Arts Festival at Collective Arts and Witchstock at Bellwoods. Like, those were the two best ones in Ontario by a mile. Mm-hmm. And neither one of them kind of, like, we were able to go to Witchstock in our first year, which was like one of our highlights still to this day.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, our doing Flow Fest this year is hopefully our contribution to kind of getting some momentum behind festivals again, because yeah, especially as a kind of like a novice beer drinker, to be able to go to one of these festivals and just be immersed in, that culture and be able to talk to all sorts of, it's usually the brewers or the owners at these things. So to be able to, like, that was my favorite part, just going and chatting everyone up and trying to learn what I could and trying new beers, and just having a whole day that's just dedicated kind of to that industry can be really impactful, on the consumer.
Totally.
So yeah, that's something that we would love to cultivate kind of with our own festival, but also, like, in terms of attending festivals, like, we've been fortunate being where we are to be able to do one. There's one in Buffalo that we do every year. There's another one in Rochester that we do every year. And it's a blast to be able to go down and spend the weekend, hang out with other breweries, just take in the festival. It's one of those things that, as we've talked about, there's a lot of things that are kind of a grind, or a lot, it's hard work kind of doing to run a business. So to have these little kind of things to look forward to throughout the year and just kind of remind you of, what you love so much about the industry is important. Mm-hmm. So we talked about a little bit before this, and just recently, like, we've had the opportunity to do a few overseas. We did one in the Netherlands this past summer. We've got one coming up in Budapest, another in Latvia in September as well. And that, like, just to be that far from home, surrounded by consumers that know your product and are excited to try, like, a specific beer that you brought, is a really, really cool experience, and that's something that we're looking forward to doing a little bit more in the coming years. As there's been some opportunities like through working with exporters that have made that available to us. So yeah, like I'm hopeful that festivals will have a bit of a resurgence, because I think they're a blast.
Totally.
Yeah, totally.
But they aren't, you know, big cash makers. So I think a lot of people that would attend them, they'd probably assume like, look at all the people here, like, and consider how much I paid to get in, and this thing's got to be raking in a bunch of money. It's really not the case.
It's wild how people don't understand overhead.
Yeah, and we were really fortunate to work with the city of Niagara Falls for Flow Fest, because like they were very much aligned with us in terms of things that we wanted to get out of it, in terms of like showcasing not just any breweries and not just craft beer, but like really good beer and really good breweries. And they have invested interest in that space, and it's an investment for them to have people come and not only into the city, but into their space that they can rent out for other events and things like that. So they were okay for it not to be a super profitable thing, or even something that's marginally, comes in at a loss.
Yeah.
That's part of their, that still met enough of the, requirements for them to do an event like that. So
yeah, it's still like a really great marketing situation,
for sure,
right? To get people into the exchange and get people, seeing the building, that could potentially be clients in the future.
Yeah. 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 And it's already opened kind of a few windows for them in that regard. And I'm actually meeting with them tomorrow, I think, about Flow Fest again. So we're
nice.
well down the path to doing it again this year. And
yay, amazing. We'll check out the date. We'll put it underneath in the show notes.
Yeah.
I think too, I was just thinking, like, brainstorming when you were talking about it, and I think there's so many now. It's like it's so prevalent to have kind of like these mastermind organizations, and I'm just picturing it being like not necessarily even about like the clients coming in, like if it could just be, like a think tank of like all breweries coming together, right? And just like celebrating, maybe you need way less space and just get the clients out of there.
Yeah, like collaborations serve that purpose to some degree.
Okay, yeah.
Like when we did as I said, like for our anniversary, we did collaborations with 5 different breweries from Quebec.
Right, yeah,
some of them are as much as 13 hours away.
You just ship the beer back and forth?
Well, they all came to Niagara Falls to like brew a beer with us for that
so
event.
Fun.
And rather than having them all come individually for 5 different brew days, I just invited them all to come on one day.
Amazing.
So they're able to carpool and get, share out with Airbnbs and things like that.
Yeah.
So there is, 15 of us hanging out for the whole day, and that's what, like, you're having a blast, but you're also talking about all these
you're learning, right?
For sure.
You're the only people doing what you're doing.
For sure.
Yeah.
And there's conferences and things like there's
that's how I'm picturing it, like conferences
there's
instead
like
of festivals.
Ontario Craft Brewers Conference and Canadian one. There's a bunch of them in the US too. So there are opportunities for people in the industry just to hang out with each other too.
Also, maybe festivals are hard because you can't drink that much beer.
You definitely can drink a lot of beer.
You're like, I'll show you.
In my experience, you can if you put your mind to it.
God, if you try really hard. I would need a wheelchair.
Yeah, most of the ones that we attend outside of Ontario, they're usually 5 or 6 hours, and they're just as unlimited drinks. You pay $150 to get in or whatever, and then you can. And generally, by the last hour or two serving at those events,
messy.
It's
exciting.
It gets a little bit less quality by the time you get to the end of it.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Amazing. Well, let's hope for a resurgence. I think too, it comes down to like, just same as is the restaurant industry taking a hit from COVID. Like people just aren't leaving their houses as much. It sounds crazy, but it's the reality. If you look like, percentage wise, people are just like, I'm used to staying home.
Yeah, they were creatures of habit.
Yeah.
And habits were very disrupted or permanently changed during that period of time.
Totally.
Not to mention how easy it's become to stay home and feel entertained with all the options available to you. Yeah, to feel like you're connected to people with all the options available to you. Yeah, and then with like the alcohol industry, like people are just drinking less than they used to as well. Like that's also certainly a thing, and there's more options available than there was in terms of like RTDs and weed beverages and all these other things too. So it's a harder landscape for not just breweries but wineries and distilleries. It's a changing landscape.
Changing market. So yeah, I thought this was so fun. I wanted to just kind of walk down memory lane for the different beers that you've produced since Counterpart opened. So yeah, you can just throw it whatever name comes into your mind. And yeah, all right, ready?
Mm-hmm.
First beer that you ever brewed at Counterpart.
First beer we brewed was called Here Goes Nothing, and it was a Kolsch.
It's like an exam. What's your all-time favorite Counterpart beer that you've ever made?
I would say we did a barley wine called Coniferous, and we did a double barrel version of that we did a few different variants of. There's a blend that we did, so double barrel Coniferous, the blend. I would say that's probably my favorite if I had to pick one.
So good.
Pure is the one I've definitely consumed the most of.
Yeah. All right. What's one beer that you brewed that surprised you the most?
I'd say that the first IPA that we ever brewed, which was called Dreamwork.
Oh yeah, I remember Dreamwork.
It surprised me just because we were a lot closer to our target than I would have hoped or expected to be, or could have hoped to be, on that first attempt. It was a style that our brewer John had never brewed on a production scale before.
Wow.
He and I had spent a lot of time trying other beers and talking about it, but until you actually brew that, that first, and you're always gonna have a lot of things to learn and correct. And yeah, we're stoked with how that one came out, especially for how early in the venture it was for us.
Amazing. What's your favorite style of beer?
I'd say my favorite style is lager, but IPA and barrel-aged beer are certainly right there. But lager, especially as get a little bit older and having kids and responsibilities, being able to drink really, flavorful, well-balanced beers in the 4 to 5% range is a benefit.
Yeah. Tomorrow can't be a write-off anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is there an annual stout drought?
We do barrel-aged stouts year-round. Yeah, I consume barrel-aged stouts year-round.
I know, me too.
But again, partly it goes back to having to sell beer, particularly on draft. We're definitely creeping, like we do them more of the year than we used to,
and more than anyone else.
Yeah, I think so. But like seasonally, when you get more into summer, it's more lager, fruited sours. We do the odd thing like a wit beer and things like that we don't do in the winter. So it's just doing things that market to what people want. They're
taking up the stout space
that time of year. But I'll take that under advisement. See what we can do.
Thank you. I can't handle it. I go into complete depression. I'm like, there wasn't a stout. I'm not leaving the house.
The good thing with stouts is that they age very gracefully.
Yeah,
so
they do.
Unlike a lot of styles, you can load up and
I try.
Squirrel it away for the
exactly.
off-season.
I'm gonna start putting like numbers on the labels, so like how long I have to go till the next one's gonna come out.
Yeah.
What's one beer that you would like to make again?
Cocoa. We have a
that cocoa bananas beer. I'm more of an IPA guy, but that one was just amazing.
Nice. I love banana stouts.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Yeah, we did a barrel-aged version as well of a banana circle that I thought was really good.
There was also like a pumpkin latte one time.
Colorful?
Yeah, colorful. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, that was the early days.
Don't laugh. I feel like I drank like a whole growler of that. I thought I was going to die the next day, but I was like, I couldn't stop myself. It was so good.
Yeah, I'd say for... we did beer called Rise, which was a brown ale, like a really coffee-forward brown ale.
I remember that.
Which we did it a few times, but it was just another one of those beers that it took so long to sell through. The people that really loved it, myself included, really loved it. Mm-hmm. But it's just hard to turn it over in the amount of time that we wanted to.
Yeah.
So I'd like to... You'll see that again at some point, but it's been probably a couple of years since we brewed it, 2 or 3 years.
Right. What's I think you already mentioned it, but the best barrel-aged stout that you've made so far?
I'd say like my favorite, as I said, was Double Barrel Coniferous. I think maybe the best one, I think these last two they released for the anniversary, being Triple Barrel Circle.
I don't know, I didn't get there in time.
They sold out quicker than maybe anything we've done.
We were there at 12.
Yeah, they sold it. We didn't, for the first time, like usually every time we do a release, we'll get through the whole line and everyone in the line will have gotten kind of what they wanted, and then we'll have some for an hour or two, and then other ones they'll make the whole day and we released online the next day. But this one is like before the line was kind of done, we had already sold out. So it was, the anniversaries always move a little bit quicker, but also they're like the two most complex and kind of extended barrel aging that we've done to date. So I think there's a little bit of excitement around that.
Yeah.
And in terms of like execution, how they came together on a project that's 4+ years long to have come out kind of where they did. Yeah, I'm thrilled with both of them. And I think like when it's said and done that a lot of people will consider those the best beers we've done so far, best barrel aged, certainly.
Cool.
And they're in circulation. You just got to find a friend.
Oh my God. We're going to have to buy them on Marketplace.
They're out there.
I'm dying. What's the highest % beer that you've ever made?
Yeah, the triple barrel circle we just did was 17.8%.
Wow.
We've done a number of them in the 17 range. We do take all of our really high alcohol stuff to Brock to get tested.
Oh yeah, I was just reading about that. That's really cool. Because they have the brewery program there, right?
It's a separate sector that just tests alcohol for wineries for whoever.
Really?
It's a lab basically.
Okay, cool.
They can test any number of things for you. Like if you want to take something to get plated to look for bacteria or wild yeast cultures, things like that, they can do that too.
No way.
But yeah,
cool.
it's just their it's not a beer specific lab or wine specific lab. It's just their lab that you can bring stuff to get alcohol tested.
That's awesome.
And it's relatively reasonable and it's close by. And when you're getting to like really high alcohol stuff, I think it's important for the ABV to be accurate.
I drank a triple and I went blind.
or drove home because you didn't know how strong it was or things like that. So
there's been a couple, I think, anniversaries where we're like, we had one beer. We're like, I think we have to walk home. Like, thank God we're close.
With craft beer, like you definitely need to be aware of the ABV, and then you need to trust the brewery is assessing that properly.
Yeah, totally. There he is. All right, last one. Which beer have you sold the most of?
We've sold the most of Pure by a long shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only beer it's our house Pilsner. It's the only beer that we have available all the time. Since not day one, but certainly within the first couple months, just because it is a lager, it's a longer turnaround time, which is why we went for a Kolsch when we first opened to have that kind of easy drinking option. Mm-hmm. But within the first 3 months anyways, we had Pure on. It's been on pretty much without break since then.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. This is so great. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just hearing about the business side, I think, of our restaurant. I think it gets glorified, and there are really exciting artisan parts of it. But it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Countless hours, in fact.
For sure. Yeah. Whatever business venture you plan to pursue, you better make sure you really enjoy
You're
it.
Obsessed with it. Yeah.
Because if you really enjoy it, you find some fun even in the monotonous stuff.
Yeah. How do your kids feel about it?
They well, I don't know if they know every aspect to it, but they love to try beer. They love to come eat Uncle Joe's food.
Yeah.
They're there at least once a week. They've kind of grown up with it. So I think it'll continue to be a cool thing for them as they get older. For sure, 100%. Will be their favorite hangout. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming, and we'll talk to you soon. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, and you'll never miss a podcast. Yep. Good night. Good night.